From the Steel Valley Soccer Studios in Boardman with Tim Walsh, Dan Conley and Chris Platten. This is Pitchmen.
All right, we are back in the studio. Dan, how you feeling today? We're just getting back from the girls' side of the Cardinal Classic. It's Sunday. How you feeling?
It feels nice in air conditioning.
Oh, God, yes.
I mean, we did have a little nook of shade, but it was stagnant.
Yeah, definitely.
I wasn't there on yesterday to be there with the boys teams, which was probably hotter. But
yes, it was very sweaty. And I will shout out, I do like the pepperoni rolls. Those were very good. The White House donuts they had were very good. We want to thank Coach Simone and everybody involved in the Canfield side that made us feel very welcome and at home and gave us some free water and some foods.
Yeah, I don't know why. When I say White House, I like to emphasize like the White House.
White House.
Yeah, that's what they are.
Yeah. I enjoy it myself.
Mm-hmm.
But today we're going to talk about the teams. Like, we don't have their rosters just yet, but we want to give like an overview of who's coming back that's pretty darn good. Because we saw some good players today. We saw some good players yesterday. And we're going to try to go by the area conferences that are on our main website.
We're going to call this the unofficial official.
That's exactly what we're going to call this, Dan. Very good. Dan. And I get to use the soundboard.
Boy, we're all happy about that.
Yeah. All right, so if you're following along, I'm going to quiz Dan real quick.
Okay.
On all of the logos that we have. Now, some are not their official logo. Some have changed. This has been in there for about a year or two. And we're looking at the All-American Conference. Can you name every school in that using their logo?
I better be. That's Howland, Canfield, Austintown, Fitch, Boardman Spartans, and Warren Harding Raiders. And I didn't even look at it. How about that?
Did you? In order, too. Nicely done. The Eastern Ohio Conference, which really isn't a conference in soccer, considering there's only 3 teams and 2 because of one that dropped out last year. But do you know those ones?
Yeah, it's the Columbiana Clippers, East Palestine, Tyne Bulldogs, Latonia Bears.
Did you call them the Dying Bulldogs?
Huh?
The Tying Bulldogs?
English is my second language. I don't know what my first one is though.
All right, go on. Latonia, what now?
Bears. I have no idea, and I'll say United. I'm just gonna stick to the first United.
United what?
What? Eagles.
Eagles. Yeah, there you go. All right, the Eastern Buckeye Conference, which I'm pretty sure I got right.
You did. Way to say that. Alliance. I'll say Aviators just because I know that.
Mm-hmm.
Marlington.
You just skipped it. That's the Carrollton Warriors. But that's not their official logo, so I need to change that.
Oh, so that's not a loss.
No.
Salem West Branch. Yeah, there's 2. I don't know.
Okay, the red one in the middle, the Detroit Lions. That is the Minerva High School Lions.
That is a red Detroit
they
Lion logo.
Took right off there. A lot of people
Canton
did.
South is the other one.
Canton South, they are the, I think, Wildcats. I'm pretty sure about that.
That cat looks pretty wild to me.
It does. I do like the cartoony, like, didn't steal from the NFL, NBA, MLB logo.
And to give it more of a description, it looks like old Steamboat Mickey.
It does.
Drawing in there. Yeah.
The Independents.
Yeah, it's Heartland Christian, Kennedy, JFK, and Ursuline.
Mm-hmm. Now, the Mahoning Valley Conference, which is just about every other school in the area.
Yeah, it'd be Brookfield, Camel Memorial, Champion, Crestview. We'll go to Liberty, Newton Falls.
That's LeBray.
Yeah, LeBray. And the Scarlets here is Springfield, North Jackson, Middle Ridge, and Waterloo.
Yes, Waterloo. I do like theirs. That's one you don't see. Like, I don't really see that in anywhere else.
It looks like a mixture of Yukon Cornelius and Elmer Fudd for whatever reason to me. And that sounds probably very...
Yeah, it's a compliment. The Northeast 8 Conference, Dan.
Yeah, it's Lakeview, Girard, Hubbard, Jefferson, Niles, Poland, South Range, and Syracuse. I don't know what... there's one...
Struthers.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm going to give myself... because that's orange to me.
It does look orange. It looks very orange to you. And to me, it probably is. I need to change some of these probably, huh? Yeah.
It's not me. It's you.
It is. Northeastern Conference.
That's Badger. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Maplewood. Matthews. And there's the rest of them I do not know.
All right. So you have the Bristol Panthers.
Yeah.
Which, if you look at that and you're like, well, that's a weird kind of panther. It is in the shape of North Carolina. The whole logo.
Oh, so it's like
'Cause
the
it's
Carolina Panthers.
North Carolina and South Carolina, excuse me. Yes, because it's the Carolina Panthers.
Okay.
The Lordstown Red Devils.
Yep.
You said Maplewood, you saying, and the Pymatuning Lakers. Pie Valley Lakers.
I would not have ever guessed that.
I like that one. I think that one's cool.
Yeah.
Tri-County Conference, which is, there's only one school in our area in this one. So I would be very surprised if you know these.
I could tell you, obviously, Canfield looks like...
it is not Canfield.
I'm sorry. What Canfield? Jeez. Mooney.
Mooney is right. Yeah.
Western Reserve Academy.
That's WRA.
CC is that... I'm just going to keep making noises and... I was thinking was that CCC, but that's not it. I don't know what the other ones are.
That is Kidron Central Catholic.
Okay.
On the left is Highland Berlin. Norwayne is the one with the N in the...
Okay. Norwayne came to mind, but it was...
Yeah, it's... Again, maybe I have the wrong logo. People change logos. Since I've been doing this, Austintown Fitch has changed their logo about 7 times.
And that's a mandated change too.
Yes, you're not allowed to use the other ones type thing. So now that we have all of our area teams kind of talked about and explained their logo, let's talk about some of the teams that we feel are going to be in the top tier of their conferences. And we're going to start with the All-American Conference. Dan, who are maybe the top 3 in that conference out of 5?
I think the top 3 are fairly easy to predict coming into this year. It's Howland, Canfield, and Fitch. Out of that, Howland, they have another new coach. They've went through. This will be the 3rd coach in 3 years that they've had there. Yeah. They had a successful year last year. Successful as far as everyone else is concerned. I bet you if you ask them, they don't consider it as successful as previous years. They have a brand new coach coming in who comes from out of the area. Completely, I think it's a wild card in my opinion. Howland has the players. They have the depth. How will his new message be received? Someone who doesn't really know the traditions and everything else that comes with area soccer. We'll see how it goes. I have no reason to doubt that they're going to be bad or anything. I'm still going to always peg them as one of the top teams in the area until they tell me otherwise. Canfield, they did graduate some seniors last year, but Ryan Dangle and Drew Snyder, those are 2 of the best players in the area, both playing this is their senior year, and I think Canfield's going to have a terrific season. We'll see how they're able to fill in everywhere else because they did lose some talent, but they did have they have that one, I can't think of his name, the center back. I think he was like pretty young last year. He's like a throwback center back. He was taller. He had a gigantic goal kick. He could boot the ball on the way.
I think I know who you're talking about. Let me take a look at their list here. That's the girl side. Hold on. Brady Casey, I believe it was either him or it was Colin Casey. Again, sorry guys, I get you too confused. But it says Colin's a defender. I believe it was him. And
I actually thought it was Goodrich, but
Goodrich. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, we saw him today. Yeah. He's got the big leg in the back. He's a throwback defensive player that you're like a little bit afraid of as well.
Yeah, you see him. He kind of hit. He's like like you said, throwback old soul in their style of play. And they rounded out, I think Fitch too. They have they graduated goalie. They're gonna have a new goalie this year. They graduated some. They had a rather small class last year that they graduated, but they have. This is like when you look at Austintown Fitch soccer, like several years ago, this class is gonna be a senior. You kind of identified them as being a very good class, going to be their senior year. So you have like Jackson Pokanicki and others, Jason Richardson back there. They have other players that are very good. I'm failing to mention quite a few off the top of my head, but they have a lot of experience coming back this year for sure. Hayden Bauer as well. Yeah,
Hayden Bauer and Jonathan Richardson in the back, solid players. Jackson Pokanicki, one of the better players in our area, best player on that team. Warmouth, they're going to miss the senior goalkeeper. They're going to miss 2 guys who were all-state 1 year each. Anthony Ruggles, Nolan Mickey.
Yeah, that's a big thing to me missing now. They got Finn Wolf coming back.
Yeah,
he's your atypical. He's such a great center mid. He's like the glue that holds everything together, or you could say like the grease that greases all the bearings and everything.
Yeah, and let's not forget the freshman who came in, and Tony James.
Yeah,
I think left foot, lots of speed. I believe he played for the national team, U14 national team. So coming back, they have a pretty good sense of. A pretty good core coming back. Going back to Canfield, like you said, I think Canfield is, if not the best, top 2 right now in the unofficial, official preseason. What we do here. Ryan Dangle and Snyder are just unbelievable talents. We're going to take a quick look at Drew Snyder and what he has done in his 4 years here. He's going to be a senior. He was All-State last year. He was District Player of the Year, Conference Player of the Year, made our Elite 11 twice, was one of our Player of the Year finalists. I believe he was, a close second to Maddox Andrea. 19 goals, 16 assists. The year before, 25 goals, 17 assists. Like, his speed is something that you cannot teach.
Yeah, 2 years ago, when he first got on our radar, we kind of compared him to Messi, and it was because he was left-footed. He was quick, choppy, real versatile player. But the older he gets, I don't think that's far off.
No, I totally
I'm not saying
agree.
he's like Lionel Messi reincarnated, but his game is very similar to that. And he's a very effective player out there, and somebody doesn't need a whole lot of space to create his own, to create something out there.
What game was it that we did? Was it the Mooney game that we did last year? We live streamed, and it almost felt like electric every time he touched the ball. It was, hey, what's about to happen? Keep the camera focused on him for a second because something cool is going to happen. And just about it did.
Yeah,
and you got to have a partner in this. No one's ever going to do it by themselves. And Ryan Dung was a very good one. Ryan Dung was also All-State last year, made our Elite 11, All-Conference, All-District. Only had 6 goals, 5 assists, but it seemed like he did all the things that didn't get put in the stat sheet.
Yeah, where he plays on the field, it's not required that he gets stats. If you ask him, he probably wants more. But when you said it's electric when Drew Snyder touches the ball, it's where he plays on the field. He's in a spot where he could put the ball in the back of the net every time. And there's not very many people is a much watch in this area. But I have a friend who's a referee up at Cleveland, who reffed the Canfield game last year. I can't remember which team up there he reffed against, and he immediately texted me after the game. He's like, "Who is this Drew Snyder? He's the best player I've seen all year. Not the best player he's seen from Youngstown area, the best player he saw all year." And that's from a Cleveland referee.
Yeah. And speaking of another player, we did talk about Jackson Pocken. He was in our game last year, made our second team, but he's one of those guys who does all the dirty work. He's always around the ball whenever something good's happening. I know he made the winning goal in the playoff game, if I'm not mistaken, to send it off, and he made the goal to tie Canfield to get a share of the conference championship. So he's used to big situations. When the going gets tough, there he is. But let's take a look at some of the Howland players too. Demetrius Gentis. Now he is going to be a senior as well. Was one of our Player of the Year finalists. I think he's very polished. And I think that, not that he didn't have a very good year, but I feel like this year is going to be his year to come out. Last year quite wasn't it?
Yeah, last year was just kind of, there was the container was shaken and everything kind of fell where it was. And Gentis is the kind of player that he's like you said, he's smooth. He just looks like he's gliding out there. And it's almost like, I hate these comparisons, like Frozone from The Incredibles. He's just so smooth everywhere he goes. He does everything well. He sees the field well. He's got great size. He goes up for 50-50s. He wins those. He's the kind of player that just makes everyone else around him better. Yeah. And that's the kind of player if you want to have success. And all these players we've talked about so far, they've been mainstays on varsity since freshmen. Yeah,
you always look in a 3-year Letterman, 3-year starter type thing and going in to be a senior year. Gentis with 13 goals, 8 assists. But he also has a partner in crime with Keaton Perry, who 3-year starter, 3-year Letterman going into a senior year. Again, 2 goals, 5 assists, but he's more of a defensive player, more of a holding mid there. Second team all district, but he does put himself in harm's way a lot. Yeah. He's always colliding with other players, and he's one you got to keep your eye on when you're on the field.
And I know how when they kind of switched what they did halfway through the year last year, but Keaton Perry, he's the kind of player that's like a dog on a bone. Like, he is all effort, all hustle, gives it his all, and he's the kind of player that you probably hate to play against, but you love to have someone like that on your team. Ultra skilled as well.
Absolutely. And when we take a look at Howland and who they lost last year, of course, brand new coach coming in, kind of an unknown that we from out of state. But you're losing Chris Penny, who I think they played him in defense. AJ Sanders, who they had up top. Connor Gebhardt, who was kind of a midfield forward guy, remember, blonde kid. Dom Santi, Fausto Stefani, Luke Behringer, who was their keyed their defense. He was a second team all conference selection as a junior. So if I'm guessing, I think that Howland has lost a little bit more than what Canfield has lost, and possibly Fitch has lost.
Yeah, I'd say I would put Fitch what they lost with Ruggles and Nolan Mickey a little bit higher than this. But I think Howland lost. I still think their 2 best players last year were Keaton Perry and Demetrius Gentis.
Yeah.
With all due respect to everybody else.
Correct.
And they're getting, as Canfield their two best players last year were, Drew Snyder and Ryan Dangle. They're getting those two back. Fitz Jackson, Pockinicky, in our eyes we thought was their best player too, but
absolutely.
Anthony Ruggles was right there with them.
Mm-hmm.
So these other clubs are getting their best players back this year. I think they lost more role players. Howland did, intricate role players, but they still got a lot coming right up. And Howland, they just reload.
Yeah,
they don't retool.
And I want to address when we say role players. It's good to be a role player. It's good to say, hey, this is my position. This is what I do well. Like if you're a forward, you're scoring goals. That's your job. You're the role in that, and as a forward. Personally, if I had to put them 1, 2, 3, because let's talk a little bit about the other two first before we do that. Boardman, new coach.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Little coming in. It's his first year. He's got his assistant coach, Connor Blasco. I think they're going to turn things around. They've had some rough years in the last couple. We saw him at the Cardinal Classic. It was a little bit rough still. There's still some rough around the edges. But when you talk about players who have a chip on their shoulder because of not being considered one of the better teams in the area, that's Boardman.
Yeah. And I'm sure they don't 2 years in a row we've not predicted them to do very well.
Correct. I had it.
And I know that has been heard. And we don't. It's not that we ever want them to do unwell. It's just we look at everybody can't win every game. Yeah. And Boardman for a long time had a rich tradition of being a powerhouse in soccer. And like you said, they've fallen on hard times the past 4+ years or so. It doesn't mean it's going to stay like that forever. Eventually, they're going to start getting better and better on the field. And I think a complete washover, a complete start over. That Blasco used to play for them. Mm-hmm. It's good to have somebody who was with the program when it was still a very good team to kind of come in and instill those traditions and the Boardman Spartan way. So I'm looking. I think they're going to be much improved over last year. I don't think they're going to be challenging for a conference title, in my opinion, but they're not going to be the pushover. Pushover's wrong. I think they're going to hold their own this year for sure.
I think that they did struggle.
Mm-hmm.
They'd struggled in the last couple of years. They lost some seniors here too. That Jake Murray was one that I remember. He was a pretty good player.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking Tony Pinchero, another one, but Gabe Hamilton coming back. They also have Andrew Walston coming back. They're going to be the heart of the team, and it's not so much wins and losses for them, I think, in this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is more of changing the culture from, people are talking bad about us. We're collecting a lot of yellow cards. We're collecting some red cards. Other players are getting hurt. It's more of we're going to have a different style. And when you talk to the two coaches in the interview we did yesterday, you can tell that was a key part of what they want to change in that culture in that program.
Yeah, and the physicality Boardman plays with that can be it's such a fine line. That's going to be an addition to your team and also a detriment to your team. And Boardman has fought that inner battle the past couple of years where it has been a detriment to them sometimes in collecting those cards where they shouldn't. But the physicality is there, and if they use it in the right way, they're one of the more physical teams in the area, and that can really help them out going forward.
Looking at the Raiders of Warren Harding, Tilden Tebe, one of my favorite coaches of all time.
He's such a good guy.
He's a great guy, and the amount of work that he puts in year and year out to get just enough players to play. I remember before he got there, they went 0-16,
mm-hmm.
and now they are no pushover. When you look at them, they got guys coming back. Garrett Wonders coming back. There's a couple of names Xander Thornton coming back. Jonathan Wonders. I want to say there's another one we interviewed yesterday, and it's the name has escaped me. I'm sorry, bud, but they are missing one of the better players they've had since Tilden's son
mm-hmm.
in Sebastian O'Brien.
Yeah.
So missing him is going to hurt a lot.
Every year you just, you talked about they were 0-16 before Tilden got there. When I played high school, we didn't even schedule Harding. We scheduled our JV team to play Harding, and that was still a blowout. And every year you look at us, you're like, oh, Harding's not going to be good this year. But every year they pull something out of their ass. I don't know how. He's able to, Tilden's able to take kids that he's got some kids that play growing up. But then he goes out and tries to find athletes and players who he's trying to give them an avenue to give them purpose over there at Harding.
Yeah.
He does such a good job of pulling these kids out who may have never played soccer before, but they're athletic. And he gives them an avenue to just really learn a skill set and learn something about life. And, not only is he a great coach, he's a great person. He teaches them right and wrong on and off the field. And there's nobody better. If you were to ask most coaches, they don't want to touch Harding.
Mm-hmm.
There is nobody better in the world to be in charge of Harding than Tilden.
Absolutely.
And he found a spot there.
Great guy, great person, great coach.
Yeah.
All right, so we talked a little bit about each of these teams. The returning champs are co-champs with Canfield and Fitch.
Mm-hmm.
What order, 1, 2, 3, would you put for this conference?
Oh, it's tough. I'm going to put Canfield at 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put, just because I'm just going to say because of a new coach, I'm going to put Fitch 2, Howland 3.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say, but 2 and 3 to me are just like, a hair. It could go out. It's a coin flip in my mind.
I agree. I think that Canfield, but I do think the pressure is on Canfield, that they do have the talent, they do have the returning players, and anything short of a conference championship might be seen as not a successful season.
For the first time in a long time.
Yeah.
Howland is a hunter, not the hunty. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're yeah, that's well said. All right, we have the Eastern Ohio Conference, and there's not really a conference because there's no Latonia team, and there's no East Palestine team from last year that kind of bowed out. So we're just still going to talk about Columbiana Clippers and the Eagles of United Local. First, the Clippers, they're missing a good portion of their team. This one's going to hurt them this year. Coach Grenga came in last year, his first year as a coach. He's from a Boardman guy. But they had a couple very good players that were seniors, Aiden Radcliffe being one of them. You look down at their list of their roster from last year, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 of the players that have graduated. And unless they're getting a good influx of freshmen coming in, it's going to be tough to have a team.
Yeah, and that's Columbiana has been a team that's always been on the brink of, they're a smaller school and they have a smaller pool to draw from, but they've always made it work and they've always done a good job. They've always had like 1 or 2 players that are just unbelievably good, and those players have always been able to to be able to to keep them going forward and be able to drive the ship. I don't know if they have someone that can drive the ship this year.
No.
Maybe they weren't there last year. Maybe they didn't have the ability to last year. It doesn't mean this year they're not going to grow and be a better player though.
Yeah, but 20 goals, 18 assists from Aiden Radcliffe. I believe he's going to Lake Erie College. It's going to be an interesting year for them.
Mm-hmm.
United. Now, United is an interesting team because they had their generation team. Remember, we've spoken of that before. And
we've kind of talked about them for the past several years as being like, this is the year, and they've always met the expectations. Well, you know what? Like you said, most of that generation is now moved on to the next level.
Yeah. Zach Figley graduated. Jace Majur, which I always either mispronounce or do perfectly. Who knows? Mike Logan, Landon Jones, Maddox Andrea. Their core, and it seemed like their captains and leaders have since graduated. So it's going to be a new group of people that are going to come up and hopefully put the team right back where it belongs, right?
Yeah, there's another Jones. There's a Liam Jones that played from last year, and there's also the Zach Blake and Seth Blake. I remember them playing as well last year. I mean, they graduated. Maddox and Dre, who scored 190 career goals.
Oh Jesus, yeah, I believe he's the leader in our area.
They graduated a lot of goals. They graduated a lot of experience, and whether you can score goals or not, you can't teach experience. And this could just be a year for United because a lot of these players that did not graduate are freshman, sophomore that we're looking at right now. This could be a year where they just get experience.
Yeah.
Not saying they're going to be bad because, they have a good coaching staff there, but
absolutely. Coach Curtis Jones has been around for a while. He knows what he's doing. It's not his first rodeo. And if you look at their schedule being a Division 5 team, yes, they play West Branch, which is going to be good. Beaver Local, who was very good last year, and we'll see how they do. Warren JFK, who's rebuilding this year after losing some seniors. Ursuline, Badger. Outside of that, they should be able to handle business still. They're still a very good team and a Division 5 team that could beat most of the people on their schedule.
Yeah, and that's sometimes, I think the hindrance for United over the past couple of years was the regular season schedule. And I think this year's going to be a year where it's going to help them out a little bit, where it's going to allow them to get some, easier experience for those players that are stepping in for maybe the first time ever.
Yeah. Moving on to the Eastern Buckeye Conference, the two that are in our area are the Salem Quakers and the West Branch Warriors. We're going to talk about the Salem Quakers first. They had a couple of pretty good players. One of them made the ODP state team, whose name is escaping me right now, but let's see if we
and Salem too, they're coming in too. They have they got a new coach this year, a coach that's very familiar to you and I.
Yes,
and
buddy.
Vince Myers.
Vince Myers, great coach, great guy, teacher out there.
Wait, what'd you say?
Teacher out there.
Vince is a teacher. No, that's all good. Would never thought that, but I'm happy for Vince. Vince Myers. I would never pegged him to be a teacher, but I'd always pegged him to be a good guy. I'm glad he's doing that. I'm glad he's giving back to everything. But he's someone that understands the game well. He's also good at explaining things too. So I'm glad he's kind of getting his chance to drive his own ship, and I think he's going to be a great addition to that Salem program.
I agree. I saw him early yesterday. His games weren't till the afternoon, but he came early to see and scout some people. So he's invested in the process of being the coach. And Jake Davis, making the ODP state team, figured out his name. Him coming in, kind of leading the ship there. We'll see how they do.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, I do think that the team to beat in that conference is going to be West Branch.
Right.
West Branch, Gavin Clemens coming in. Who else do they have here? Reed Martucci is going to be a junior. He's a very good player. I feel like there's another one that I'm since missing. But they play pretty tough schedule. They'll play the Hubbards, the Boardmans, Ursuline, United. They don't shy away from it, but I think last year they tied Poland 1-1.
Mm-hmm.
So Coach Martucci, talked to him yesterday, interviewed a couple players. I'm excited, and I really think that this is going to be their year.
Yeah, I think there's several teams in the area where it's, they're players that have been the main players. This is kind of their final hurrah. And I think you can kind of put West Branch on there as well. Besides having one of the coolest places to play at in the area.
Let's go to commercial break. Let's hear from the people that sponsor us. And if you are listening at home, let these people know. If you know anyone from these companies, if you know a company that wants to sponsor us, definitely do that. This helps us get more swag, get more coverage, get more equipment to make things as good as possibly could be for what we do.
Pitchman is brought to you by...
Welcome back to Papa John's. I'm hand stuffing this mozzarella to make our epic stuffed crust pizza.
Epic.
Hey! We're making you an epic stuffed crust pizza for $13.99.
Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
Did you miss the last Youngstown Phantoms hockey game? Catch up with the Dump and Chase podcast.
He's a pretty big guy, and he was the only one with hair. I am, of course, talking about assistant coach Brandon Gawkin. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for all your support. It's great, the stuff that you guys do and how much coverage you bring. I know we appreciate it a lot as a coaching staff, and our guys really appreciate it. So thank you so much for putting all this hard work in.
The Dump and Chase podcast, Wednesdays at 5, right here on Western Reserve Radio and the iMedia One Network.
I'm Tim.
And I'm Dan.
And Chris. This is Pitchmen, the Steel Valley Soccer Podcast.
We cover all things high school soccer in the Mahoning Valley.
Catch our episodes on Spotify.
Or visit our website for the skill,
in the back of the net,
the teams,
Mitchell with the shot, goal, finds the back of the net,
and the soundboard.
Is the best net. For more information, go to steelvalleysoccer.com. Das Boot.
All right, let's talk about a couple of the independents. Ursuline and JFK don't seem to be, and Heartland Christian, but JFK, let's talk about them because it's kind of a head turner when Coach Brian Stiles decided he was going to become their new head coach.
Yeah, that was something I was expecting him to stay out of the high school game for a couple years. You're right. If Stiles was going to come back, I figured it was going to be, JFK had a great senior class last year.
Correct.
So they graduated a lot. I mean, a lot. There's still some stuff in the cupboards there, but there's not a whole lot left from last year. I don't know what their incoming freshman class is. I don't know if people are going to be going there because, having Stiles as your head coach, that's having like aces in your pocket at all time.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to get the best he can get out of this program. And I bet you he's probably going to have the most coaching he's done in a long time is going to happen this year.
It's like Nick Saban going to a new school.
Yeah.
Something's going to be said about it. Losing Christian Swager, Dom Ryan, Nick Ryan, Giovanni Fima. Who else do they say that they're missing here? Matt Wagner was a senior. Di Bernardi. They're missing their almost their entire starting lineup. And at a small school, every senior counts. So they do have a couple of guys coming back. Santino Esposito, very good. I believe he was a defender. And who was Anthony Berzonski, who was the freshman who really caught our eye when they played Harding. And again, I went to the Camel JFK playoff game, and he kind of stood out as someone who really affected the game as a freshman. But being, again, D5 school, you look at their schedule from last year, though. They played Fitch. They played St. Vincent St. Mary. Champion, who's, smaller school with good. Mooney, Lake Center Christian, United, Harding, Badger, Boardman. They weren't shying away from contact. They wanted to be battle-tested when it came time for playoffs. And if I'm not mistaken, they did make it to a district final and end up losing in it.
Right. And I think, too, looking at the schedule from last year, that's an incredibly tough schedule, like you said. I don't know what their schedule necessarily looks like this year, but I'd have to say for Coach Stiles, he's been coaching with the anticipation of competing for a state title a lot of years in a row. Whether he made it there or not, that was always like in the back of his mind. This year's not one of those years unless something crazy happens. So I'm excited to see what they look like. I know they're going to be one thing, a well-coached team, and they're going to understand the game very well. And they were well-coached last year, too.
When talking to him, I said, going into a new school, where do you start? Like, what do you start to build first? And his answer, like your answer, would be defense. I'm going to make sure my center defenders are the best center defenders in the area. I'm going to put my goalie in position. We're going to build from the back up. And his quote was, and I like it, when we start putting zeros up and the other team's not scoring, that's when I'll start to worry about how many goals we need to score.
That's what separates him from everybody else.
Yes. The other independent, we're talking about Ursuline Irish. Coach Monaco has been there for several years now. Some of his returning players, though, he lost probably one of the top 5 players in Ursuline soccer history, in Gage Sidoris. All-state player, had 30-some goals in his senior year. Was an absolute force in there. But they lost him. They lost, as I'm looking at theirs here, Luke Rowland. He was a pretty good player. I think he was playing defensive center. I think one of his goals was on our goals of the year. There's a Boyd, Glass, Beneke, Martinucci, John Rock. But the player that looks pretty good is Zane Allion. He's going to be a senior. He's on the TCSC team that goes and gets to the nationals last year and regionals this year. I think he's going to have a breakout year. It's just, who are the people that are going to do it with him? I know that they have an incoming freshman class that's pretty good. We'll get to meet and know them throughout the season, but there is tradition there. I know I was part of it, so I'm excited to see that this team is back on top, winning district championships. And
right, and it's something that's always surprising is as years go on, and it seems like teams have less and less numbers. Ursuline seems like they get a lot of numbers every year. Several years in a row they just got increased. I don't know what the numbers are looking like this year, but looking at their list from last year, this year, they have a lot of underclassmen. People that, like we said before, they're gonna get their chance in the limelight. Had some great role models that have graduated before them. I think there's enough there to carry over where there's still going to be a team that's going to make some noise in there. Do I expect them to do great things this year? I don't think they're going to be really challenging for a district title, but you never know. Yeah. You never know what they're going to have, but they could be right around a 500 team this year.
Yeah. Looking at their schedule too, again, they're playing the Canfields, the Lakeviews, the Howlands, the West Branch, the Mooney. So Fitch, they're going to be ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, they're challenging themselves.
All right, let's take a look at the Mahoning Valley Conference, which has 1 million people. Unfortunately, looking at this, Brookfield, Camel, LeBray, Liberty, Newton Falls, I feel like they're always kind of the stepbrother to Champion Crestview.
Yeah, I think this one has the most like co-ed teams in their conference. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Correct.
But yeah, Brookfield, like you said, Brookfield, Newton Falls, and LeBray and all them, I really don't know what to expect from them. And they kind of always have some good players. They put up stats, They win games too. It's just I never have any idea where they're going to fall in the conference. And even as the year goes on, I have a hard time judging them just because they seem like they're so similar. And I've heard some of the games in this conference are pretty brutal.
Yes.
When it comes to it.
But if you look at like a champion, maybe I don't have their roster. Yeah, that was the girls.
No.
You look at a champion, you look at a Crestview, you look at these teams, having so many people, in their conference makes it tough to schedule those other teams that are out of conference on them. So, yes, they play against each other, and you could see like, oh, they beat this team, this beat this team, but it's almost like the distributive property where one team beats the other but loses to the third type thing, to where you never know which is the best going to come out. But in recent history, it has been Champion, it has been Crestview. So I think Champion has a lot of players coming back. If we look at their, if we look at some of their guys coming back here, Carter, I think it's Chapin. They have him down as defender, but if I'm not mistaken, he likes to get up and get in the attack. First team all district, second team all conference. I mean, he was a 3-year letter winner, 3-year starter. Dante Dooley, who I swear I just saw his name. Dante Dooley, same thing. All state last year, all conference, all district, all county, was an honorable mention for us. Ended up with 6 goals and 8 assists as like a defensive center mid. I remember him when he was a freshman, so it's good to see him going on. And their goalie, Horm, whose name I just saw. Yeah, Ty Horm. He's going to be a junior. He's about 300 feet tall. He had 11 shutouts, 119 saves, was a finalist for our Brick Wall Award, and was second team all district, first team all conference. I think having him back there, they can be a little more cavalier with their passing, knowing that he's going to erase anything that went bad.
Right, and that's you just used the word I was going to describe him as, and he's an eraser back there. He erases some of the mistakes that are made in front of him. 11 shutouts that set the school record for him last year doing that. I know a shutout goes on paper towards a keeper, but I know it takes more than him for that to happen.
Correct.
But you still got to have a good keeper in there to have that happen. And I think I think Champion has enough players coming back this year from last year that are intricate in their success over the past couple of years. And I think Champion's going to have another good year this year. And they play the game the right way as well.
We look at Mineral Ridge and North Jackson, both very good teams, but again, co-ed teams that. Mineral Ridge looking a little bit different last year. If I'm not mistaken, it was the first year without Coach Ted Gadosh, guy who's been there since the program was started. So we don't know what to expect exactly out of these two. But if it's between them and Waterloo had a tough year the last couple of years. And if I'm not mistaken, and they have a Scarlet tier. I don't know if this all goes together, but for soccer, but I'm sure we'll find out. If we're wrong, let us know. People love letting us know, so please do so. The Northeast 8 Conference. Now, this is one which is heavy with the people in our districts and just chocked with full of good teams and players. Last year, Poland ended up winning it. I know South Range was in the mix. Niles has fallen on tough times. Girard is, new coaches, new system. Everything's trying to come across there. They did beat South Range for the first time ever. Girard did. And Dylan Trevelyan coming back is going to be good for them. Lakeview, I feel like Lakeview is the dark horse here. They're the ones that kind of are under the radar, but are going to be pretty darn good.
Yeah, I mean, what kind of sticks out to me is obviously Poland and Hubbard. It seems like those are the two best teams. If you kind of look at this conference, it's so big, but I kind of look at it tiers in my mind. And I feel like Hubbard and Poland are in the top tier. Then right below them would be like the Girard, the Girard, Lakeview, and South Range teams like that. And then just below that, I'd say Niles is a team if you just look at the history of programs here, Niles has the most illustrious history out of all the programs. They've been on hard times for quite a while, and I really want to see that program get back on track. But then, Jefferson's a team that they get scored on a lot.
They get scored on a whole lot.
I don't know how to say it other than that. And
let's talk about Hubbard a little bit. Kayla McKay, great player coming in at our showcase game. he kind of wowed some people here to where if you we asked some of the coaches in their area yesterday, who are some players that are the best in the area, and Caleb McKay's name came up as one of them. He was an all-state player, was a finalist for our Playmaker Award, 13 goals, 12 assists. He's going to be a 4-year starter, 4-year letterman. Great player over there at Hubbard.
And he's a high IQ player.
Oh, absolutely.
He understands the game. He's got great vision out there, and he sees things like, you just throw out the word vision as, he can see the game. No, he really does see the game before it happens, and he plays the ball in his spaces for someone else to do it. He does the right thing, and he's creative. He tries cheeky things out there. He's not afraid to take risks. Sometimes it doesn't work out for him.
Yeah.
But I love to watch that kid play.
Yeah, he is a fun one to play. But they lost Benner. Not rebuilding, but they do have to put some players in that were not key players last year.
And they got a good coaching staff in Hubbard too.
Oh, actually, Coach Reinert has been there since the hills were made. Poland had their best year, regional final, all types of. Michael Daly was the best goalie for the last 3-4 years. AJ Lisko was pretty darn good. Jacob Hayes, Deering, Bullock, Hillier, names I remember, McBride.
Yeah,
they're missing all of them.
Yeah, I mean they graduated a lot last year, but Poland is another team that always has so many numbers coming back. Sikoris' brothers, those two are really, really good talents. And those are two players that we've seen they could play anywhere on the field because they literally have played. We've went and watched Poland play. We always seem to see Poland playing early in the year. Then we go back and a month later and it's completely different looking, but it's still just as good.
Yeah, and I looked at it and I said, okay, was this Andres? Like Andres, second team all district, second team all state valley, but he had 17 goals, 9 assists on a team that went to the regional finals.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty darn impressive. 3-year starter, 3-year letter winner. If we look at his brother, who is right there, Skevos. Same thing, 7 goals, 3 assists. They played him more at defense,
right,
than anything else, and I think that the two of them might be able to right the ship a little bit in a conference that's kind of rebuilding.
And I see them, they both put down they want to play with each other at the next level.
Yeah.
How cool would that be at a college to go there with your brother and keep playing forever like that? That'd be cool.
I would like that. So let's take a look. Because I like to, who would you think is going to win this conference?
I'm just going to say Hubbard. And it's close. Poland and Hubbard. It's very, very close in my mind. I think, Poland, they graduated a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Hubbard graduated some as well, but I think, you can never write off Coach Garkar and the Poland Bulldogs ever. But I think sometimes it's Hubbard's year, and I think this could be Hubbard's year. Yeah, Caleb Mackey and some other players that they have in there that are just so good. I don't see how they're going to. What about you?
I'm going to go out on a limb here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Coach Simeone and Gerard, they need a couple more players to be put into this conversation, so we're going to leave them out.
Mm-hmm.
Jefferson, no. Niles, no. South Range is having troubles fielding a team right now with the amount of numbers that they graduated last year. I think that it's going to be Lakeview's year this year. Coach Nick Facciolo, I think is how you pronounce it. I think he's going to get. They tied Hubbard in our very last live stream that we did last year, and it was almost like there was a change in the guard between the two of them. It was no longer, Hubbard's just going to beat them every time. So I think it's going to be them, and I think Poland's going to it's going to be those three again in the mix, trying to vie for the.
And they all got the same colors too.
Yeah. Way to go, guys. Yeah. Way to be original.
No, I agree. Lakeview is a team that is, if you look at them from year to year, if you just look at the past 10 years, one year they'll be dynamite, the next year they'll be down. Because they have it's dependent on the graduating class. But Lakeview's a team, if they get the right couple, they weren't very far off. If they get a couple pieces coming to them and they get matured at the right time, that changes everything. And I think Lakeview has a good enough foundation where their ceilings, their floor is pretty high. Lakeview's ceilings floor is pretty high, sorry. And depending on what they have coming back and depending on how good those players get in the offseason, their ceiling just raises up. So I think if you just look at the grand scheme of things, I think Poland and Hubbard and Lakeview, their floor is higher than everybody else. But we'll see how high that ceiling goes for all three of those teams, though.
And I think that as far as conferences, that's the second strongest conference outside of the All-American Conference in our area.
Can't even say anything. We didn't even talk about South Range. They were great for, you take it the last 3-4 years away. They've been I think great's an understatement. How good they've been
in the state championships in the 20-aughts.
And so you can never count them out.
There's two teams that we're going to, let's talk about Mooney first, because there's a lot of teams here like Bristol, Lordstown, Maplewood, just ones that we don't quite know enough about to be able to speak intelligently on. But Mooney is one where I think Mooney and Canfield are going to be the top two teams in the area. And returning Angel Alvarez and, Jacob Gugliotta, I think those are two very good players to base your team around, as well as all types of players coming in from freshman, sophomore year.
Yeah, and Mooney just, you look at like preseason things like the Canfield Showcase like we had this weekend, and Mooney, I didn't see Mooney play. I don't know if you did either. I mean, I may have not even been there.
No.
But they seem to be playing like mid-season form, like in July all the time. I'm not saying they start early.
I'm saying they start early. No, that's from years ago, though.
I feel like that was in there pretty deep. But yeah, they just always seem to be having, they always seem to be playing like top-tier soccer no matter what time of the year. You look at like off-season tournaments like it Niles Center, and they have different things like that. Mooney always seems to win them. They just are always playing their best soccer all the time.
Well, you have Jacob Gugliotta, you have Kaladi, you have Dimitri Zumas, Mihaly Francos.
Yeah.
I heard that Donovan Whetstone, who was a freshman last year, was going to contribute pretty well in this upcoming season. Losing Aiden Hareb absolutely is going to hurt a little bit. But no, I think defense and goalie is going to be an issue for them because they're going to replace their goalie from last year. And we're going to see. A lot of people you talk to are saying Mooney should be the team to beat.
Are they replacing their goalie this year?
Am I wrong?
I don't know.
I might be wrong. I'm sorry. I think it's Noah. Is it Noah Trella?
Trella, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. They are not replacing you.
What if he's listening? He's like, what?
Hey, buddy. He's like, oh, I got fired? They'd let me go. But I think that I still think Canfield has the edge here on the boys' side. But I think Mooney's right next to him. And hopefully they play against each other, which they normally do. And we will be there to put a camera on the field.
And the edge is there because I think Drew Snyder's probably the best player in the area this year, going into this year. Angel Alvarez is right there with him too. But I think that I put Canfield a little bit ahead just like you, but I'm excited to see Mooney, what they bring to the field this year.
Last two teams I want to talk about are two teams that I feel are always very good, but will lose that errant game. So Badger being the one I'm talking about. Dax Harnett was in our game, very good player. And they played really well, but they always play like teams that are a little bit outside of our area that we don't quite know about. And they'll lose to one, and then they'll beat another one. And they didn't have any really big milestone wins last year or the year before, if I was being honest.
And also, like Badger's like one of those schools I think they play early in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And with our work schedule, it makes it nearly impossible. Like the chance of us being able to see a Badger home game are greater than zero, but not much greater than zero because just how they play and where they play.
But that is one of the teams that we are committed to try to go see this year. It's been 5 years now, and we have not done one of their games just for that reason.
And
so we're going to really
they're a
try.
good program.
Absolutely. The last one I want to talk about that isn't actually on this list is the Beaver Local Beavers? Beaver Local Beavers? Is that right?
I was going to say it, but that doesn't sound right when you say it out loud.
I swear to
I'm
God.
glad you said it, not me. Brave sounds better, to be honest with you.
All right, let's see what Google has to say. Good old Googs. They're the Beavers. They're the Beaver Local Beavers. All right. I had it right. But again, as I said it, I'm like, that can't be right. But it is. Coach Cirillo did a great job. Was our coach of the year last year, if I'm not mistaken. They beat Poland, and that really was a huge win, being a very good Poland team, and they handled them pretty well. We had a couple players in our showcase game. I think it was Caleb Mays and
Ethan Wood.
Thank you. So
Caleb Mays was really good.
The goal he had against Poland to make that 1-0 was a rocket. And poor Michael Daly, who's been on the receiving end of how many of our top plays year in and year out.
Could you imagine that being the goal of the year for like so many years and then
always
it's like being posterized because you're getting dunked on. Not to get dunked on, it's just
and being defensive player of the year.
Yeah, it comes with the territory of being a goalie.
But no, that's a team that we also want to make sure we get to a game this year. We saw them yesterday, saw a couple of their players. Again, they did lose those two gentlemen to graduation, but we will see how it goes for the 2025 season. So All right, so that's it on the boys' side of things. You know, we should probably just make this a part 1 and a part 2. What do you think, Dan?
I think that's a great idea, Tim.
I think it was your great idea, Dan. So let's stop this one here, and we'll do the girls in a second episode.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Pitchmen, a Steel Valley Soccer production. Email us at steelvalleysvs@gmail.com to give suggestions, corrections, or any comments you want us to hear. For more information, go to steelvalleysoccer.com.